Charlemagne the Fraud, he appeared on The View. And I found this fascinating and interesting because he actually had a little common sense when he was on The View. And I'm wondering who put him up to this, who greenlit this, who allowed him to go on The View and talk some logical sense into Whoopi Goldberg. I don't think this was by accident, but I want your thoughts. Let's play Charlemagne the God and Whoopi Goldberg on The View, going back and forth as he kind of called her out like, hey, how come you guys on the Democrats can't admit when you're wrong? Play the clip.
Let me ask you something that's going around right now. A lot of this conversation about President Biden getting criticized from both sides of the aisle for pardoning his son Hunter after repeatedly saying he would never do it. And a lot of people are saying that it's hypocritical, et cetera, as if the other side doesn't do it. But what's your reaction to it?
I mean, I think all of the criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time. And, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, whether or not, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that right now. But since they were calling Trump a threat to democracy and they were saying that, nobody's above the law, but they were speaking about him, that's what they were running on. So when he kept saying things like, nobody's above the law, I respect, the jury's decision in regards to my son, he didn't believe that. But he didn't have to volunteer that lie to begin with.
My question is, what is it that makes people flip out with Joe, but we don't have the same kind of thing?
Well, I don't think people are flipping out with Joe. I think Democrats are flipping out with Joe because Democrats believe that they don't represent what he's currently representing, but that's just not true. That's why I say they stand on this moral high ground that simply does not exist. And I think this is also the problem when we pick sides, right? We've turned political parties into teams. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Ain't nobody more delusional than me, right? Okay? I feel like we're going to the Super Bowl every year, but I'm not delusional. Well, no, that is delusional. But when it comes, but when it comes to political parties, if you pick a side, right, if you say you're a Democrat, if you say you're a Republican, you refuse to be objective about anything.
I just didn't buy it, Jason, simply because he rehearsed it maybe a day or two before going on The View on the Breakfast Club. So I think they knew exactly what he was going to say, and they allowed him to come on to say that. I feel like if he was really an adversary and really was up there saying something totally different and shocking to them, something that they hadn't agreed with, Whoopi and especially Joy, they would have been a little bit more hostile towards him. So I just think this was all planned, and it just didn't come across genuine at all to me. We watch these ladies tear down any other man they can that has a differing thought from them. So this to me was just planned. This is their way of saying, no, we're not one-sided. When you come on The View, it's multiple views. It was, I didn't buy it. I just felt like it was staged.
I totally agree with you that they're trying to head off the total revamping of the show and actually having real conservative women on there, more than just one, and that they put up there who pretends to be a fake conservative. They're probably trying to head that off or cancel it or getting canceled totally because advertisers and sponsors, the wind's blowing a different direction. And so, yes, they're trying to look, we are fair-minded and we can be respectful. If someone like Charlemagne comes on, dresses like a woman and talks to us respectfully and disagrees with us, we will be good with that. Now, any real men that want to come on the show, because keep in mind that Stephen A. Smith went on and played this role. He's another one of these guys that they totally control, and so let's plant him on the show, on The View. They did this like the day after the election, had Stephen A. Smith on, a sports writer who's a clown. All of this stuff is orchestrated and planned, and hey, we'll let people come on to disagree with us, but yes, is Charlemagne a Democrat and a liberal and totally controlled pretend opposition? There's no question about it. They caught him riding dirty years ago with an underage girl. They completely control him. And he went on there, did his little cosplay act. Because what I'm shocked about is because if things were actually operating the way The View actually operates, Sonny Holston would have jumped right into the middle of that and caused a scene and talked about how half black she is and tried to trample all over Charlemagne and pretend like he didn't know what he was talking about. It's kind of like Building 7. It's a controlled demolition.
Yes.
The View is coming down, and this is part of the controlled demolition of The View.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I don't know if we didn't play it all the way to the end, but then he said something, Whoopi, is smiling. She acts as if she takes it the wrong way. And then he said, no, I didn't say this. And she said, well, get up and give me a hug. It was just such acting. It was funny to me that they actually thought we would buy into that when we've seen other men go on there with an opposing view and have to really hold their own because these women are so bitter and angry and just mean all of the time. So yeah, this was fake acting. It wasn't even good acting. Wouldn't even get any type of Oscar award. It was bad. It was Tubi.
I'm doing this off my top of my head, but someone help me out. Has Byron Donalds, has he been on The View? Because for some reason, I think that he maybe has, but that's the kind of person I would like to see on The View more often, because he's got a pair and will stand his ground.
Said it was in June he was on there.
Yeah,
Yes.
Byron Donalds has been on there. That I would, and seriously, you want to make my dreams come true. I'd love to see them invite someone like you on The View, who I know wouldn't hold back. But I just don't, they're not ready for that. And so they'll bring on, Charlemagne's a disc jockey, or what is Charlemagne's, other than, what is his claim to fame? I know he hosts that show, but
Breakfast Club.
he hosts the Breakfast Club, but how did he get there? What was his path? Was he some sort of disc jockey? I don't understand what makes him some thought leader that needs to be this high profile talking politics. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Hey, all I know is I put on a bunch of makeup, Shemeka, before this show, so I can't say nothing about Charlemagne the God, because I got rouge on, baby.
I got makeup on too, but trust me, there's nothing they can do with me to make me look any better, and certainly nothing they can do to make me look as feminine. I would have just like, hey man, y'all got me out here looking, I'm serious. He looked like Joy Reid. All he needed was the blonde wig on top of his head.
He looked like Shannon Sharp. Remember when the makeup artist went overboard on Shannon Sharp that day?